Marcus Williams, a young black man with big dreams, arrives at a luxury car dealership in California. The showroom gleams with high-end vehicles, their polished surfaces reflecting Marcus's eager expression. He runs his hand along the smooth curves of a sleek sports car, imagining himself behind the wheel. Tom Johnson, a middle-aged white salesman, stands nearby. He barely glances at Marcus, instead focusing his attention on a well-dressed white customer who has just entered. Tom rushes to greet the new arrival, offering a firm handshake and a warm smile. "Welcome to Elite Motors. How can I assist you today?" Tom asks enthusiastically. Marcus waits patiently, expecting Tom to acknowledge him next. Minutes pass, and Tom continues to ignore him, leading the other customer from car to car, pointing out features and discussing financing options. Finally, Marcus approaches Tom, extending his hand. "Excuse me, I'm interested in learning about your latest models." Tom's smile falters. He gives Marcus a quick once-over, taking in his casual attire. "I'm with a customer right now," he says curtly. "Feel free to look around. I'll be with you when I can." The dismissive tone is unmistakable. Marcus feels a familiar knot forming in his stomach, a mix of anger and disappointment. He's experienced this before, the subtle and not so subtle ways people judge him based on his appearance. As Marcus turns to leave, he overhears Tom making a snide comment to his current customer. "You know how it is these days. They let anyone walking off the street." The words sting, but they also ignite something in Marcus. He exits the dealership, his mind racing with memories of past discrimination and the determination to change things. This experience, he decides, won't be just another setback. It will be the catalyst for something bigger. At home, Marcus sits at his computer, delving into research about the dealership. He discovers Elite Motors has been struggling financially for months. Online reviews paint a picture of dissatisfaction among customers and the local community. Complaints about poor service and a lack of diversity in both inventory and staff are common themes. Marcus picks up his phone and calls his best friend, Michael. "Remember that dealership I told you about? I'm thinking of buying it." Michael's laughter crackles through the speaker. "You're joking, right? With what money?" "I'm serious," Marcus insists. "It's a fixer-upper, but I see potential." As Marcus outlines his vision, Michael's tone shifts from skeptical to intrigued. "You know, that's crazy enough it might work, but you'll need backing." Over the next few days, Marcus shares his idea with a tight-knit group of friends. Initial reactions range from disbelief to cautious support, but as they discuss the possibilities, enthusiasm grows. "I know someone you should talk to," says Alicia, a financial advisor in the group, a local investor who's been looking for promising ventures. A week later, Marcus finds himself in a sleek office downtown, facing Robert Chun, a seasoned investor known for taking chances on unconventional ideas. "So, you want to buy a failing luxury car dealership with no experience in the industry?" Robert asks, eyebrow raised. Marcus nods, then launches into his pitch. He outlines his plans for inclusivity, community engagement, and modernizing the business model. As he speaks, Robert's expression changes from skepticism to interest. "You've got guts, kid," Robert says finally. "And a vision. Let's talk numbers." The dealership's showroom buzzes with nervous energy as Marcus stands before his newly acquired staff. Faces ranging from curious to hostile stare back at him. "I know this change might be unsettling," Marcus begins, his voice steady. "But I'm here to build something better. Our new policies will focus on inclusivity, both in our hiring practices and our customer approach. Everyone deserves respect when they walk through those doors." Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Some nod in agreement, while others exchange skeptical glances. As the meeting concludes, a woman approaches Marcus. "I'm Lisa," she says, extending her hand. "I was let go last year for suggesting similar changes." Marcus's eyes light up. "I'd love to hear your ideas. Are you interested in coming back?" Lisa grins. "Absolutely. I've got thoughts on improving customer service, making it more personalized and less pressured." Their conversation is interrupted by a commotion near the back of the room. Jim, a longtime salesman, stands up abruptly. "This is ridiculous," he snaps. We've always done fine catering to our usual clientele. Why fix what isn't broken? Several others voice their agreement. The tension in the room thickens. Marcus takes a deep breath, reminding himself that change is never easy. I understand your concerns, he says calmly, but our usual clientele is shrinking. We need to adapt to survive and thrive. As the staff disperses, Marcus notices small groups forming, some nodding in approval, others whispering in discontent. He realizes the road ahead will be challenging, but he's more determined than ever to see his vision through. Marcus stands at the front of a community center room, facing a group of young adults from diverse backgrounds. Financial literacy is power. He begins, his voice filled with passion. I was once where you are, dreaming big, but unsure how to make those dreams a reality. He shares his journey, from facing discrimination to acquiring the dealership. The audience listens intently, many taking notes. It's not just about buying a car, Marcus explains. It's about understanding your worth, managing your finances, and making informed decisions. As the workshop concludes, a group of attendees approaches Marcus. We want to help, says Jamal, a local college student. Your story inspired us? How can we support the dealership? Marcus is touched by their enthusiasm. We could use help spreading the word about our new approach. Your perspectives would be invaluable. Back at the dealership, Marcus calls a staff meeting to discuss implementing ideas from the workshop. As he outlines plans for community engagement, he notices Frank, a veteran salesman, rolling his eyes. Got something to say, Frank? Marcus asks, keeping his tone neutral. Frank stands, his posture confrontational. Yeah, I do. We're here to sell cars, not run a charity. This isn't what I signed up for. The room goes silent, all eyes darting between Frank and Marcus. Marcus takes a moment before responding. Frank, I respect your experience, but times are changing. We're not just selling cars. We're building relationships and investing in our community. That's the future of this business. Frank scoffs. And who made you the expert? You've been here, what, a month? The tension is palpable as staff members shift uncomfortably in their seats, waiting to see how their new boss will handle this direct challenge to his authority. Marcus stands firm, meeting Frank's gaze. You're right, Frank. I haven't been here long, but I've seen enough to know we need change. This isn't just about selling cars anymore. It's about creating a business that serves and reflects our entire community. Frank opens his mouth to argue, but Marcus continues, his voice calm yet authoritative. I value your experience, and I hope you'll be part of this transformation. But if you can't get on board, maybe it's time to consider other opportunities. A hush falls over the room. Some staff members nod in agreement, while others look uncertain. Lisa steps forward, addressing the group. Look, I know change is scary. I've been on both sides of this. But what Marcus is proposing isn't just good for the community, it's good for business. We have a chance to be leaders here. Her words seem to resonate with some of the skeptics. The tension in the room begins to dissipate, replaced by a cautious optimism. Over the next few weeks, the dealership undergoes a visible transformation. The showroom is rearranged to be more welcoming, with comfortable seating areas and a coffee bar. Staff members undergo training in cultural sensitivity and personalized customer service. Initially, sales are slow as the dealership adjusts to its new approach. But gradually, word spreads. New customers start trickling in, drawn by the inclusive atmosphere and no-pressure sales tactics. One afternoon, Marcus overhears a conversation between two customers. This place feels different, one says. Like they actually care about what we need, not just making a sale. As he watches a diverse group of staff members confidently assisting customers, Marcus feels a surge of pride. It's not perfect yet, but they're making progress. The resistance isn't gone. He still sees Frank and a few others grumbling in corners. But the overall mood has shifted. For the first time since taking over, Marcus allows himself to believe that his vision might actually succeed. The dealership buzzes with activity as staff members put the finishing touches on decorations for the grand reopening event. Banners proclaiming a new era of inclusive luxury hang prominently, and a diverse array of vehicles are strategically displayed. Marcus surveys the scene, a mix of excitement and nervous energy coursing through him. This is it, he murmurs to Lisa, who stands beside him. Our chance to show everyone what we've been working towards. As the doors open, a steady stream of people begins to file in. Marcus greets each guest personally, from longtime customers to curious newcomers. He notices with satisfaction the diversity of the crowd, a stark contrast to the clientele of just a few months ago. I never thought I'd feel comfortable in a place like this, an elderly woman confides to Marcus. But your young man over there treated me with such respect. I might just buy my first luxury car today. Marcus beams, but his smile falters as he spots a familiar face entering the showroom. Tom Johnson, his former tormentor and the embodiment of the old regime, saunters in with a smirk. Well, Tom drawls, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. Quite the circus you've got going on here. But can this new crowd actually afford these cars? Marcus feels a flash of anger, but takes a deep breath. He approaches Tom with a calm demeanor. Welcome, Tom. Everyone's welcome here, regardless of their background. That's the whole point. Tom's smirk widens. Sure, kid. Let's see how long this little experiment of yours lasts in the real world. As Tom moves away, Marcus notices several guests watching the exchange. He forces a smile, determined not to let Tom's presence derail the positive energy of the event. But inside, he can't help but wonder if Tom's words might hold a grain of truth. Will this new approach truly be sustainable in the long run? As the event reaches its peak, the showroom is filled with a vibrant energy. Conversations buzz, and laughter echoes off the polished surfaces of the luxury vehicles. Marcus moves through the crowd, engaging with guests and staff alike, when a voice rises above the chatter. Excuse me, everyone. I'd like to say something. Heads turn to see a middle-aged man standing near one of the display cars. Marcus recognizes him as Mr. Thompson, a local business owner who had previously been skeptical of the dealership's changes. I've been buying cars for 30 years, Mr. Thompson begins, his voice carrying across the room. And I've never felt as respected and valued as I do here today. This isn't just about selling cars anymore. It's about building a community. A wave of applause ripples through the crowd. Marcus feels a lump forming in his throat as he sees nods of agreement and hears murmurs of approval. Seizing the moment, Marcus steps forward. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. That's exactly what we're striving for here. This dealership isn't just a business. It's a reflection of the diverse, vibrant community we serve. Everyone deserves to feel valued and respected when they walk through these doors, regardless of their background or budget. As Marcus speaks, he notices a shift in the room. Even some of the more resistant staff members, including Frank, are listening intently. The energy is palpable, a sense of unity and purpose filling the air. We're not just selling cars, Marcus continues, his voice gaining strength. We're selling a vision of what our community can be when we come together, when we recognize the value in our differences. The room erupts in applause. Lisa catches Marcus's eye from across the room, giving him a thumbs up. Even some of the staff who had been most resistant to the changes are now nodding along, caught up in the moment's enthusiasm. As the applause dies down, Marcus feels a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges aren't over. Tom's earlier comments still niggle at the back of his mind. But in this moment, he's more certain than ever that they're on the right path. In the days following the reopening event, the dealership experiences an unprecedented surge of interest. Local news outlets pick up the story, featuring interviews with Marcus and highlighting the dealership's innovative approach to inclusivity in the luxury car market. Elite Motors redefines luxury car sales, reads one headline. Another proclaims, from discrimination to inspiration, how one man changed a dealership's culture. The phones at the dealership ring constantly with inquiries, and foot traffic increases significantly. Marcus finds himself juggling management duties with impromptu interviews and community outreach opportunities. Meanwhile, Tom Johnson's dismissive comments at the event backfire spectacularly. Video clips of his confrontation with Marcus circulate on social media, sparking outrage and discussions about systemic discrimination in high-end retail. Tom's reputation takes a hit. Former clients come forward with stories of his discriminatory practices, and he faces mounting criticism from industry peers. His social media accounts are flooded with negative comments, forcing him to retreat from public view. Amidst this whirlwind of activity, Marcus receives an unexpected invitation. The organizers of a prestigious conference on workplace diversity and inclusion want him to deliver a keynote speech about his experience transforming the dealership. Initially hesitant, Marcus consults with his team. "You have to do it," Lisa urges. "Your story could inspire real change in other businesses." As he prepares for the conference, Marcus reflects on his journey. From being ignored in the showroom to now being sought after as a speaker, the irony isn't lost on him. He crafts a speech that balances his personal experiences with practical advice for fostering inclusive workplaces. The day of the conference arrives. As Marcus takes the stage, facing a sea of expectant faces, he feels a mix of nervousness and determination. This is his chance to amplify his message beyond the dealership, to potentially influence change on a broader scale. Taking a deep breath, Marcus begins his speech, ready to share his vision for a more inclusive future in business and beyond. As Marcus's influence grows, an unexpected development shakes the foundations of the dealership's recent success. Jake, a former accountant who had been quietly let go during the transition, reaches out to Marcus with alarming information. "I've been holding on to this for months," Jake says, his voice trembling during a private meeting. "There were some shady practices going on under the old management, especially with Tom. I think you need to see these documents." Marcus spends hours poring over the financial records Jake provides. His initial disbelief turns to shock and then anger as he uncovers evidence of systematic fraud, inflated sales figures, and discriminatory lending practices targeting minority customers. Determined to understand the full scope of the situation, Marcus discreetly enlists the help of a forensic accountant. As they dig deeper, the extent of the unethical practices becomes clear. Tom Johnson, along with several other former executives, have been orchestrating a complex scheme of financial manipulation for years. The revelation presents Marcus with a moral dilemma. Exposing the fraud could potentially damage the dealership's newly restored reputation. However, keeping it quiet would mean betraying the principles of transparency and integrity he's worked so hard to instill. After sleepless nights and long discussions with Lisa and his core team, Marcus decides to go public with the information. He contacts the authorities and prepares a statement for the press. The news breaks like a thunderclap, sending shockwaves through the community. Local media outlets run constant coverage, and social media explodes with reactions. Some praise Marcus for his honesty, while others question whether he was complicit. As the story unfolds, the community rallies around the dealership. Customers share stories of how the new management had already rectified past wrongs, often without publicizing their efforts. A grassroots movement forms, with people organizing support rallies and flooding review sites with positive comments about the dealership's new era of transparency. Marcus finds himself at the center of a storm, fielding constant calls from journalists, lawyers, and industry watchdogs. Despite the chaos, he remains committed to seeing justice served and ensuring that all those affected by the past fraudulent practices are made whole. The fallout from the fraud revelation is swift and dramatic. Tom Johnson, along with several former executives, faces multiple charges including fraud, discriminatory lending practices, and embezzlement. The legal proceedings become a focal point for discussions about corporate responsibility and systemic discrimination in the auto industry. Marcus, now a key witness, prepares to testify in court. The night before the trial, he reflects on the whirlwind journey that brought him to this point. From being dismissed as a potential customer to now standing as a beacon of integrity in the industry, the irony isn't lost on him. In the courtroom, Marcus delivers a compelling testimony. He describes in detail the transformation of the dealership, contrasting the old practices with the new ethos of inclusivity and transparency. His words paint a vivid picture of the positive impact on both employees and the community. "We didn't just change a business," Marcus testifies, his voice steady and clear. "We changed lives. We showed that success and integrity can go hand in hand." As the trial progresses, more former employees and customers come forward with their stories, reinforcing Marcus's testimony. The evidence against Tom and his cohorts becomes overwhelming. In a pivotal moment, the judge commends Marcus for his courage in exposing the fraud and his commitment to reforming the dealership. Tom, once smug and dismissive, now sits defeated as the verdict is read, finding him guilty on all counts. Outside the courthouse, a crowd of supporters cheers as Marcus emerges. Community leaders praise his integrity, and industry experts hail the case as a turning point for ethical practices in luxury car sales. In the weeks that follow, Marcus focuses on rebuilding and expanding the dealership's positive impact. He implements a program to assist customers who were victims of the previous fraudulent practices, further cementing the dealership's commitment to the community. The story of Marcus and the dealership becomes a case study in business ethics courses and an inspiration for other companies looking to prioritize inclusivity and integrity. As Marcus stands in the showroom, watching his diverse team confidently assist a wide range of customers, he feels a profound sense of accomplishment. What began as a personal quest for respect has blossomed into a movement for change, proving that one person's vision can indeed transform an industry.